Welcome to Why Are You Awake? Paul Farahvar here, your host. This week we have Shoeshine Boys Ben Spotora, musician, artist, booker, workout musics, Ben Spotora. If you're listening to this podcast, go over and watch it on my website, youtube.com/Paul F Comedy. Make sure you follow me on Instagram, follow Ben as well. Go to my website, Paul F Comedy, for upcoming dates. I will be part of Gen X-ish comedy at Comedy Vault Sunday, December 29th with Kristen Toomey. Also at Laughing Academy, January 3rd in Glenview, one of my favorite clubs. Both of those are my favorite clubs. I'll be at the Looney Bin headlining in Arkansas, Little Rock, Arkansas, January 22nd through the 25th. And then I'll be headlining McCurdy's in Sarasota again, January 26th, 28th, 29th, and 30th. I think that's right. Yeah, something like that. Go to my website for details, paulfcomedy.com. I've got a bunch of shows in and out, doing quick sets, opening for friends in January and February in and around Chicago. That's it. Enjoy this episode. It's a fun one. We talk about the old Shoeshine Boy days. Before I was a comedian, I actually used to manage and play in bands with Ben. We booked a lot of shows. You'll enjoy this episode. Fun stuff. Hey gang, as some of you know, I used to be a practicing lawyer in Chicago. I no longer practice, but from time to time I need a lawyer. And when I need a lawyer, I call my friend Scott Shapiro. Scott Shapiro has been practicing law for over 25 years in Chicago. He does it all, from workers' compensation to personal injury, employment issues, and even entertainment law and contract needs. If you need a lawyer, call my friend Scott. 312-648-8800. That's 312-648-8800. Or you can email him at scott@scottshapirolegal.com. It's time for another edition of Why Are You Awake? Paul Farahvar here, your host. This week we have musician and Shoeshine Boy extraordinaire, Ben fucking Spotora. Yeah. Hey, Ben.
Hey, Paul. Good to see you, man.
I know. I like the mustache.
Thank you.
Did you do that for the podcast?
Yeah, I planned it out about 2 years ago.
I haven't seen you in like a while. Last time I had you, you didn't have the Raleigh fingers look here.
Really? When we went to the bar?
No, I don't think you did. You had like a beard.
Yeah, I actually just trimmed all this low today and kept... So it's like I look like 10 years younger if I just cover my chin because there's no gray.
The gray hairs. Yeah, dude. Yeah. That's what happens. So you fucking sell out, get married, have kids.
You're right. Dude, I went gray. I saw a picture on my fridge of when my daughter was born, 2022.
Yeah.
All my facial hair was black. I was just like, I just all of a sudden went gray. Like super fast.
When I met you, you were like this ball of fire. Okay, so let me tell people how this is how I recall us meeting. We talked via email. You were in a band called Workout Music, still are. I was managing bands at the time. This is a comedy wasn't even in my wheelhouse. And you were booking your band, and we were talking, and then I came and saw your band live. You're playing at LaSalle Power Company.
Oh yeah.
And that's where I met you. You guys were like this ball of energy, and the room was packed. I don't remember who else was on the line, but that's when we met in person. Do you remember that day?
I do. I remember.
And
that
I was
show.
shit canned. By the way,
because I was mixing at.
Oh, that's right.
At Goose Island.
That's right. That's when we met.
Yeah.
That's
no,
when
but I didn't meet you before. But you're right though, because Swizzle was like
Swizzle Steve.
I go through this guy Paul. I was like, cool. I'll meet Paul.
Yes, so you were the sound guy at Goose Island in Wrigleyville, and we had a lot of shows there.
Yeah,
I would show up sometimes, and you were like the sound guy, and they had like 6 sound people. I felt like
there was a handful. Some people don't like.
No one talks to you guys.
Yeah, no one like. They don't just like pop up in your head. They're not a very
90% of the time, the sound guys are not interested in the kind of music that's playing.
No,
and you know this,
and they're miserable.
And you know this because in between the sets, it's like Pantera, and you're like, "This is a singer-songwriter night. Why are you playing?" It's like, "It's my fucking song. It's my night." It's like,
this guy's been playing Jack Johnson for a half hour. Where are you?
Yeah. Why are you playing Pantera in between?
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
there's your band
played at LaSalle Power Company. Like 3 years later, I did my first like real stand-up set there. It was like a transition.
That's right. But was it still LaSalle Power Company at that time?
It was still, but then it was called something else after that.
Yeah.
It was Comedy Bar, but that's where we met. And your band was like so much fucking energy. How would you describe the band? Like anytime I would try to figure out how to describe you guys. What's the band that you introduced me to that I fucking love? And he sang Downtown with Macklemore, that guy.
Foxy Shazam.
Foxy Shazam was what you guys sounded like.
Yeah, we were going for like that dance rock after we kind of wrapped it up a bit.
Well, you guys wrapped it up like 6 times. You're like the Rolling Stones. Like,
Yeah,
well, this is the last show. And then, yeah.
Exactly. It was like faster dance rock. So just anything to kind of like keep a consistent beat and make people move. But it also had really a lot of rock elements to it.
Yeah.
Soloing and every now and then some punk rock stuff. The keys kept it dancey. And then we just tried to really put on a great live show.
Your front man was a really good front man.
Yeah, and then we did the confetti and the lighting.
Yeah.
Like we'd build sets and we'd do projectors.
I forgot about the fucking confetti. That was always an issue. Every venue was like, are they going to do the confetti? You have to pay the cleanup fee.
Yeah, or like there were venues where I'm like, we'll do it. Double Door, I said, we'll just sweep it. And we just were out there with brooms
after the show.
After the show, yeah.
During the song, you guys would throw confetti into the crowd.
Yeah, just like those sticks, you'd get from like Party City or whatever. But it usually like was the opening song, and like to kick everything off, there'd be like a couple bursts, and like right before like a big music like breakdown where we would all like kind of headbang and jam out. And then there was like we'd do Silly String, or we'd do balloon
Silly
drops.
String was the one that Shoe got pissed off about.
Dude, people hated because people like Tim.
You can't take that shit
out. And he'd spray the monitors, so it'd get like the grade of the speakers, and they'd be like, "We can't get the." It's like, yeah, I know that's shitty. We shouldn't be doing that.
At the time, it was so annoying, but it really was part of the experience. I feel bad now because I'm like, can you guys just do it without?
Yeah, no,
it was part of the experience.
Because that's why.
Did that alienate you? Think you guys?
No. I mean, we tried to do that stuff because we thought, well, it did. It would set us apart from the other bands that night. Like there had been a million acts we'd played with, and I'd be like, that band is so good, they are better than us. I'd buy their CDs, or I'd talk to them and try to book them with us.
Right.
We just always thought, okay, but we have to stick out, and the more we stick out, and the more we play, the
people
more
remember it.
And then our crowds, we had some good local success. I mean, our crowds were consistently above 100.
Oh, easily.
For multiple years.
I remember venues. You guys did the anniversary party for Shoeshine Boy. You knew your crowd because it had like this South Side element.
Definitely. and we would bus people in too.
Oh, that's right. You guys had buses. You guys were ahead of the game in a lot of the promotion that was necessary for live music at the time.
Yeah, I agree. It
was crazy.
If only it amounted to something.
Well, I mean, you guys it was one of those things where I talked about it with Dave Tampkin recently. It's like once families and stuff got involved and everything, it's hard to focus on the creative. You have to 100%. Just make a decision. Each of you got married and had kids and sold your souls. No, I'm just kidding. But I just feel like but you guys are great. Your crowd also grew older too.
Totally.
So
that's a big thing. Hey, come out. What time are you guys playing? 10?
I got to get a babysitter. Yeah. Now I'm dealing with that with comedy. So that's where we met. Your band was there. And then you and I started booking shows for Shoeshine Boy Productions. I basically was like, you should just book this stuff because you would put together lineups. You'd be can I just do that? I'm like, do you want to just do this? Is that what I did? Okay.
And I did want to get into it because...
At that point, I was trying to get out of it.
For sure. It was like right when I was you're like, good, just take it.
Take over the company. Buy it. Take it away. I tried to sell you the company like 80 times.
I'm like, dude, I don't have any money. But Swizzle let me book a night at Goose Island.
Goose Island.
And I was like, hey, man, I want to try this, And he's like, yeah, for sure. Let me, Did that, and the night did really well. Like, I think it was, there was like 250 people.
Yeah.
300 people in the room, which is, you remember that room was small. He was like, dude, you could do this whenever you want. And I was like, we kind of got to talking, and I couldn't really do a ton there. That's when I had met you, and I think Swizzle actually just kind of maybe even like put in a good word.
You would pick your own bands to perform for your shows, and I'm like, yeah, just take it over.
Right, and I just gave you a cut, I believe.
We always take a cut off the top, guys. That's a secret of the success.
Yeah, it's business.
It's called the music business.
It's called business.
And we did so many shows. Well, when I first started the company, it was just me. I would do like 3 shows in Wrigleyville on the same night. I was like the mayor of Wrigleyville. I do Cubby Bear, Goose Island, and there was another venue called
Underground Lounge?
Underground Lounge. Yeah, I was looking at the poster.
I used to mix there too.
Did you for Don?
Yes.
And the thing is at the end of the shows back then, it was all cash when we first started the company.
Yep.
So I'd be walking out with wads of thousands of dollars from 3 fucking shows, and I'm just drunk off my ass.
You're like a mafia
I'm
guy.
like, yeah, it was literally taking money. 90% of that money or 80% of that money wasn't mine. It was going to go to bands. And I remember at some point, I'm like, I should just have a check now.
Yeah.
And then we were like, send us checks. And we did everything legitimately. And then venues like that because they're like, these guys are the only ones that do things on the up. Like everything was broken down when bands were like, I drew this much. And we're like, we would make them ask at the door who they were there to see.
Yeah, for sure.
So the bands who did well got credited, and bands who like just didn't, we knew right away.
Right. And if they did over certain numbers, we'd
bonus them out.
We would do a ton of promotion for them. We had a good thing going.
Yeah. This is before like Instagram was the way. We would promote the fuck out of stuff. Boosts or whatever.
Facebook at that
Facebook,
point.
yeah. We do all
Facebook.
the ads.
For a while there, it was like, you need to be a cover band. And then
cover bands killed us.
Yeah. Everyone's kind of like Shuba's Lincoln Hall was bought up by Audio Tree.
Yeah.
They get in like big booking companies, and it's hard to get in. And if you do, they're not giving us a deal.
Yeah.
And then it doesn't make sense for the bands to even go through us at some point.
There's no reason for us to even do it because after COVID, venues had more expenses.
Absolutely, yeah.
And so we wouldn't make any money doing it. The company's still for sale. If somebody wants
if anyone's
it,
interested, put my email just like right here, so you can
contact us here. Well, now I do the music, the comedy shows through there every once in a while.
It's a good pivot.
I'm always hitting you and Dora up to be like, do we have any? Because I still have the mass email list. Every time I send the mass email for Shoeshine Boy Productions, more people are like, hey, I've been on this list for 20 years.
Unsubscribe.
They're like, I love you, Paul, but I've got grandkids now.
Right.
It's a fucking different world. I think we talked about this on the podcast you did before. You did Singles Only. You did Make Us a Mixtape with Marty DeRosa. You started in bands when you were in high school, right?
Before that.
Okay.
I want to say the first band I was in, oddly enough, with pretty much the same
lineup,
guys, was 8th grade.
And you guys did like a talent show or something?
Yeah.
What was the band name?
It's the first band was the Blue Rock Targets, pop punk.
Okay.
And before that we had a couple other names, but we didn't really play shows until we became the Blue Rock Targets. We had a good little following in our, I grew up in like Chicago Heights, Homewood, Flossmoor, South Suburbs.
South
area.
Sides, yeah.
Mm-hmm. There used to be a little coffee place called Sputnik. Obviously you couldn't drink there. It was small. If 100 people were in there, it was jammed.
Were you doing original music?
Yeah.
Even in 8th grade?
I'd never been in like a cover band.
Okay.
We have done remakes and covers here
Sure.
and there, but never like in a cover band. That was 4 of Workout Music's members. That was me, Chris, Tim, and our original keyboard player, Scott. And then when we separated, Chris and I started playing with AJ, who was also in Workout Music, and then another guy who we used to be friends with named Dirk. We had a band called On Tap, which was more like drinking college OAR.
College rock.
College rock. We were like kind of sick of the pop punk stuff.
So during high school, were you guys all just your own group of friends?
We were friends originally, but yes, we had friends outside of our high schools. Weren't cliquey. It was weird. Like everyone kind of hung out with each other.
How big was your high school?
I mean, my graduating class was 680.
Oh, that's a big school.
It was big, yeah.
And were you guys like cool, or were you like nerds? What were you guys like, band? Because
no, we were cool as fuck, dude.
Come on, between us, usually people that are creatives, theater kids and stuff like that, which I feel like the South Side doesn't even have a theater. Like,
there is a there's theater.
There's like 6 kids and they're like, Romeo. Like, I don't know what the fuck they would do. I feel like if anyone tried to do anything creative outside of maybe music, they'd be like, gay.
Yeah.
Like,
gay.
yeah.
No, it was pretty accepted, I would say.
Really?
Yeah, because I did art. I did like AP art and all that stuff through high school. Nobody was in the theater, but
Were they like sports? Were you guys?
Yeah, like I played football and I did football and track.
Okay.
And had the band, so it was just like the opposite of every high school movie.
Yeah.
You watched.
So there were no like the jocks didn't all hang out together.
They would, but they also hung out with everyone else. It wasn't so divided.
That's weird.
Like that. Yeah.
So what did you guys do like when you weren't playing?
So high school, we weren't big. I wasn't a big drinker.
When did you first start drinking?
Freshman, sophomore year, but
Okay, but not like all the time.
no, I actually drove everyone around more. I didn't like to get it out of my head at
Yeah.
that point for some reason.
You're a control freak.
I don't like to relinquish
Power.
Right. No, I drank here and there, but the other guys drank more, and I would smoke pot here and there.
Okay.
Those guys didn't really smoke pot.
What were you doing on your weekdays? Were you staying up late at all?
I didn't really get in much trouble, but I was good at like I knew how to do the stuff that would get me in trouble and avoid getting
Like, what do you
caught.
mean? What were you doing? Did you ever get arrested in high school?
Oh, for sure, for sure.
So you did. You got
Yeah.
caught.
Yeah, I was. I got arrested for it would have been a DUI if I would have blown over the limit.
Oh,
But at the time, it was just called a zero tolerance because I blew a .03 or .02.
oh, driving while drinking or something.
Yeah,
like
but
that.
I was 18. So
Oh,
he's like,
yeah.
the guy goes, well, if you were 21, I'd just let you go. It's like, oh, thanks.
Yeah, so you
Yeah.
still got in trouble.
Dude, we used to fish, or we used to go to Harvey, and we used to go to this liquor store called JR's, and it was this old dude named Frankie. And I don't know if anyone knows where Harvey is. It's like not a good.
It's a bad area.
It's a bad area. So we would go there. First place I got offered crack. So not the best spot to.
They were gonna say not the best crack.
Not,
But okay.
not the best crack I've had, but
Yeah.
one of those liquor stores you go up to and it was all behind bulletproof glass. And
So
things.
Frankie gave you alcohol.
Frankie would sell us booze.
How were you with the ladies? Were you like the
That's
nerdy?
the weirdest question.
Well, I'm just
Yeah,
saying,
no,
like
I'm with
for
you.
me, I was friends with all the girls, but no one would date me. I was like too small and just insecure.
Sure.
Were you cocky and like
No,
confident?
I was like a serial.
Monogamous. Yeah, I do remember that from the Singles Only podcast days.
I specifically remember being like, be the nice guy. You don't want to be the player. You shouldn't. And I probably could have.
You were in a band, and
Yeah, and played football. Like I said,
Yeah.
I was in good shape, in a band, played football, whatever. Then you like find out years later, it's like,
everyone had a crush on you.
oh, that girl liked you, and this
Yeah.
girl, it's like, well, why didn't anybody fucking say
No, we had
anything,
no
man?
we had no knowledge,
No,
and also no
zero.
confidence either.
Right.
For me, at least. Were you staying up late back then, or were you like kind of like normal, go to bed normal? And
I've always had trouble falling asleep before like at least 11:30
when you were a kid, you mean too?
when I was a kid too.
Yeah.
Well, maybe not when I was like a little kid.
I mean,
but,
like high school, yeah.
yeah, like so normally it would be, all right, I guess I'll go to bed. It's 10:30 and it's like turn the TV on. It's like, well, The Simpsons are on. It's like, well, now
You have to
Seinfeld is on.
Yeah.
And so it's like now you watch through all these.
Did you have like curfews in high school, or were you like allowed to go out?
In high school I did. In high school I had to be home, and it like depended on the year. So like sophomore year it was like 10:30, and then
That's early.
yeah, it was early. My parents, firstborn, so it's just like my parents didn't want me to do anything wrong.
That's
So-
100%. Are you Italian? 100%.
Yeah.
Okay. You see, you don't come off as like the typical Italian from the South Side. Is your dad like?
You like
Was he in the
what do
mob? Like, why are you so like?
We don't talk about this, Paul.
Or you're just so like? I mean, I have friends who are Italian, who aren't even 100% like you,
yeah.
and they're like, they have that South Side accent. They're like kind of like this is the way it is. But you were like kind of artsy. You were like open-minded kid.
Mm-hmm.
That's not. Is that from your parents? Were they like hippies?
No, not at all. I suppose they're like, it's just like your surroundings, right? So like I had my friends were like that. My dad's dad started a glass business.
That's right.
Classic old school Republicans who was very pro-business.
Blue collar.
Yeah.
Learn a trade.
Religious.
Yeah.
You know.
Did you have to go to church every Sunday?
For a while, I thought we did, but then it kind of just faded out, and I did like CCD and stuff, and I was somewhat religious. I was never really bought it. I worked for my dad for a while. I played football for a long time, so I played football from 5th grade to senior year of high school. And my dad always said, if you're playing sports, you don't have to work. I want you to concentrate on your sports.
Okay.
So I did. So I played all through till I was 18. Then I went and worked with my dad a bit, which was like small potatoes at that, like delivering carpet and, delivering windows and stuff like that. Went to college at SIU for a year. And then that's when I started getting into AV, because then I transferred to Columbia, got into AV, started doing the AV business. When I first came home and told my dad, like, I'm in a band, and I was like excited because my dad's a drummer.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and played in bands, and he was like, all right, just make sure you get your schoolwork done.
When you finish high school, you guys still have the band going?
So no, we broke up like junior year of high school.
Right.
Chris and I had a band with AJ and that other
the
dude.
OAR cover band.
The OAR cover band.
or whatever.
Chris and Tim went to school in Arizona together.
That's right.
So they had a band out there called White Collar Religion that was like a rock band. They were good. AJ and I went to Southern for a year. Well, him for half a year, me for a year. But then when we kind of moved back up here and we both went to Columbia, we started we were really kind of getting into metal at that time. So we started this kind of like metal punk band called Wednesday Addams. Then eventually everything dissolved. Everyone moved back. And then there was at one point we were all living, I think it was 2008 or 9. We were renting a house, a couple of us. And I was like, well, and it was kind of Chris's idea. He's like, I want to start this band that has like this dancey kind of feel to it, because he was listening to like Girl Talk and like some dubsteppy stuff, and so we just kind of started writing some stuff in the basement.
In the house?
In the house, yeah. But yeah, we would practice. We wrote songs. We wrote a lot of like our first album there, and then we did the WGN Breakthrough Band thing.
That's right. And you guys won it, right?
And we won it, yeah. And that's when we started, like, we got the album with Manny Sanchez at the Ivy Labs, and that's when we kind of started getting a little momentum.
You guys win the WGN Battle of the Bands. What was it called?
The Breakthrough Band.
Breakthrough Bands or whatever. You're done with college. You guys are working. Are you guys just partying all the time, or what are you guys doing?
This was the stay up late all the time, eat White Castle at 3 a.m., Ben gains 50 pounds stage of life.
Were you still doing work for your dad, or were you just, this is when you were like doing sound at the bars and just?
I was doing sound.
How did you get into that world? From Columbia or?
From Columbia, yeah. Columbia, it was expensive, and like I don't need the degree, but the amount I learned there and like the people you meet there, it got me so much work.
I mean, it's a great, so many comedians go to their comedy school there is amazing. All these comedians go up there. They all learn production for like video now too. It's like, I just want to hit them up and be like, hey, I need someone to run this podcast.
Yeah,
like,
right.
How do I get
Podcast 101. Right.
I'm sure they have that.
They have to.
Are you on the alum board or anything there? Can I you fucking asshole.
They keep asking me for money. It's like, dude, I paid you so much money. You're not getting a dime out of me, you know?
What were you doing when you weren't playing music?
Chicago Heights is also not always the safest suburb. So there was a place called the Tender Trap that was the only 4 a.m. bar around. But it could get dicey. Like, people got stabbed. People, you know.
What kind of people would go there?
There was some gang activity there. Normally didn't like going there, because it wasn't always the best time. And
why wouldn't you just drink at your own house? You have a fucking house.
We would do that too. But eventually it's like now we're just turning 21, 22, so we want to go out to the bars, you know. There was a place called the Polish Democrat Club, which was like a place, it was like a VFW that you had to get buzzed into. But you could like smoke inside and play bags inside, and you could get these giant beers for like $3. So we would go drink there. And then there was a handful of strip clubs, one in Harvey, one in the Heights called Jimmy's. But we would legit go there to drink. So Skybox was $10 to get in, well drinks and domestic beers were 50 cents, and they had free pizza. So it's like, why would we go to this bar? But that place was super cheap. And then the other place, Jimmy's, was free to get in, $5 pitchers of beer, $2 certain shots. And it's like, well, we'll just go here. And like, we're not like here to be pervy. It's just the cheapest joint around, and no one's going to get stabbed.
What would you guys do late at night at home? Were you guys all just hanging out, or were you like...
We were like slap happy, silly. Like we all grew up together. So it's just like, stupid guy jokes. Every now and then we'd take mushrooms.
Yeah.
We'd smoke pot. We'd go out. My grandparents had they were on 2 acres, which was really weird, like in a suburb.
Yeah, that's a big space.
But their place was huge, so we'd just go fuck around in the backyard. I think one time we built like a half-ass golf hole.
What were you doing after your shows? Like, let's talk about the workout music days where you guys were, because you have this bus of people that came out to fucking see you.
At that point, when we were playing a lot, we would actually still practice in the suburbs, because we would practice. My dad's store, the glass shop, had like this lofted area above the offices. We set up a practice spot up there. We would just go there after hours. We spent a lot of late nights there. So we would, drink there. You could smoke back there. When we had shows in the city, we would load all the stuff up into this 16-foot box truck that they had, drive it up here, play the show, hang out with everybody, and then have to either lock it up for the night and drive it back the next morning, or drive it home that night. So there were plenty of nights where it's just like we're partying and we'd hang out with everyone, and the bus wouldn't leave till 1 a.m, and we would stay out either at the venue, or sometimes, if we're at Sub T or Double Door, we go to Estelle's or Rainbow Room till 4. Or
it was always a bar.
Always a bar. I don't ever remember you drinking all that much.
No one could tell when I was drunk.
At House of Blues. I used to, when I was booking, I booked quite a few pretty decent House of Blues shows.
Yeah. And then we had our own, Shoeshine Boy had their own VIP room too.
Yes. And I used to invite dates there.
Yeah.
And be like, hey, I don't know what you're doing, but if you want to come to House of Blues, we can.
I'm running this show. Yeah.
And check out this back room.
They would put our name. They'd be like this, and then you could be like, I want a bottle of Captain Morgan's or whatever. We had our own alcohol. We had our own thing. It was great. It's funny because that staff, I do comedy there now in their foundation room.
Yeah.
And all the staff, it's the same staff from 20 years ago. A lot of the same guys. And they're like, it's so weird to see Shoeshine Boy doing comedy. I'm like, it's Paul. My name's fucking Paul.
My name's not Shoeshine. That's like calling Darius Rucker Hootie.
I can see them in the back. I don't know if they're rooting for me or against me, but I always feel like we were nice to everybody.
Oh yeah, we never had definitely no bad blood anywhere.
I always felt like some places treated us like second. They didn't like the fact that we would get bands in there. Our shows would do better than their local shows because we were smart about making the bands draw, and maybe some of those bands that drew very well were not the best, but we also were smart. We're like, okay, you're only doing 30 minutes,
right?
But they packed the place,
right?
And they eventually got better.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I think there was a resentment. I'm not going to say the names of the clubs, but they would always, you could sense it in the emails, like, okay, you can have this night.
Mm-hmm.
We ruined the music scene.
Maybe. Think about that email that you and I'd CC you on, just some real sass. And I had one guy too tell me well, how do you do this? What percentage do you take? And what do the bands get out of it? And I was like, when I kind of because I stepped aside for a bit and let Dora.
We all did. Yeah.
When I'm coming back, I told you, I was like, I want to make the flyers. I'm going to make promo videos. I'm going to help these guys
all the promotion that we used to do. Yeah.
And I've been doing that. And it's a lot of work, but it's fun, I told him this, and I was like, yeah, we take, X and X percent. He's like, well, that seems a little high. When I do it, I take 10%.
Yeah.
And it's like,
but we're doing everything.
It's like, what? Okay. Do you not want me to bring you a good show because of the percentage? And I was like, yeah, if bands draw certain numbers, though, I take less. It's
a win-win.
Yeah.
I've done that a lot. A lot of times we do that with the comedy shows too. I'm like, look, if it sells out, you'll double your pay.
Yeah.
How does that work? It's because if you sell it out, it's a long-term investment in the venue because that means they're going to give me more shows.
Right.
I don't care if I lose money on this show because it's better.
And you normally don't.
Yeah.
You know, like, I mean, I remember even just like taking, you know, say we normally took 20%.
We did.
We did. Yeah, you're right. We did. But a lot of times there'd be, I would round up all the time. You
We'd
know what I
always
mean?
give them the benefit of the doubt. Like if it was like to hit the bonus, if they needed 50 people and they were at 47, we're like, yeah, you guys hit the bonus.
Exactly. Yeah.
Unless they were assholes.
Yes, which also happens too.
All the time.
Right.
That's the thing. Like with the shows, we would only hear about things when bad things happen. Yep. Everyone would be like, what'd you hear? I'm like, actually, I didn't hear anything, but that's good.
That's good, right?
Because that means nothing bad happened.
No news is good news, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
But yeah, they would always be like, we had a guy start a fight with the sound guy, a Cubby Bear once.
Yeah. We had a guy fall off the stage.
What club?
I think that was also Cubby Bear.
Okay. Cubby Bear was a lot
got the brunt of it.
God, we spent so much energy and time trying to make that a venue so bands would play, and they would always hate playing there.
And I don't get it because
it was such a great room.
It sounds great. The lighting is great.
They pay you triple what you make at the name venues.
Mm-hmm.
It used to be the spot before House of Blues. Before our time, it was the spot where people go see live music.
Mm-hmm.
That's where, you know, there was no House of Blues. You wanted to see a band, that's where you'd go. Dave Matthews played there. That's
Cubby Bear?
Yeah, he played there.
Whoa.
Anything before 92, I think it was when House of Blues came out. All those bands from the 90s, that's where they played. It was either Metro or Cubby Bear. And Cubby Bear was the one that was more like punk.
Yeah.
That's where Dave Grohl went to his first concert, was at Cubby Bear. That's when
right.
the Foo Fighters went back. And for years, that was the spot. We'd have so many fucking great shows there. And then Double Door was obviously the best, but they're gone.
Double Door, I loved pretty much all the venues we booked at.
Yes.
Like, I really did.
I did too.
They all had their own charm. They all, like, certain bands made sense there. And their locations were all kind of cool, you know? Double Door was hands down my favorite venue.
100% agree.
In the city. It was just like the perfect combination. It was like nice enough, but dingy enough. And they didn't serve food. There were no TVs. It was just a giant bar. It sounded good.
Staff was awesome.
They
treated us like royalty there.
And they treated people nicely there. And
staff,
it was just a great, from when Phil ran it to when Jesse.
When I started booking there, Phil was just an intern.
Oh, shit.
That's how long we've been working. Phil Kosh, who now is like second in charge at Live Nation. He's he's up there. Yeah, he's up there.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Oh, yeah. He runs all of Texas.
Yeah, he's the man. Kosh is the man.
Yeah, we'll get him on the podcast.
Yeah.
What's life now like? You're married. You have a daughter.
Mm-hmm.
You guys just go to Home Depot on weekends. Oh, you don't go there. You just do your own carpentry. You make your own nails and wood.
I don't go to Home Depot because
Lowe's is the way to go.
Lowe's is the way to go. And Home Depot, it was a political reason I don't go to Home Depot.
Oh, we know.
Which is ridiculous, but
it sucks now.
Yeah.
Because they deliver for free and Lowe's doesn't. But the sacrifices you make for the democracy.
I know, right?
What's the latest you're up now? Well, because you're on the road now. What, are you still up late now? You go to bed at like 8:30?
No, I can't.
You have like a job where you have to like travel and shit?
Sure, but I mean like that's actually a good transition. So when I'm at home, I don't do much during the week. But like if I go out with like my buddy like Jeff, you know, from Board of Governors, Jeff.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. He lives in Portage Park near me. If I go out with him, if we go out, I'm out till 2 and I'm drinking till 2 and I feel like shit the next day. Normal nights, baby goes to bed 7:38. Grace and I will watch TV, but she'll go to bed at like 9:30 or 10 and I'll watch TV, fiddle on my phone. I might play like Zelda till at least 11:30, sometimes 12. Some days I'll just be like, I'm going to watch Brooklyn Nine-Nine till 1 and I'll do that.
Are you doing anything creative now? I mean, you're still writing music. When do you get to do all that stuff?
I've never really just sat down to write music. Something will pop in my head late at night. Even I'll be in bed and I'll like hum it to like my voice notes in my phone. Or I will just diddle with guitar with like coffee in the morning and hear something I like and record it on my phone. And then I'll throw it into like I'll program some drums in Logic and then I'll play all the rest of the instruments. and that's how I'll make songs now.
You have a space to do all that now?
I'm in a bungalow, so like the back part of my house was a porch that they turned into like a mud room. That's where my office is. And so I just have like a little like 2-channel Focusrite, and I have Logic on my computer, and you know, I have a keyboard and a bass and a couple guitars, and
that's so cool.
Yeah, I do it there. And I haven't done much. Over the pandemic, I wrote an album, and that's what I'm recording. I try not to force anything.
Yeah.
I have been painting more though. Sometimes at night, like if I have deadlines, like I've done some like commission pieces for a couple weddings.
Really?
Yeah, they've come out good. It's fun.
Dude, you're like a fucking doing all this shit now.
I just
thought you were some dirtbag from the south side.
I am.
Went to strip clubs.
And it goes to strip clubs because the other bar's too dangerous. Truthfully, man, I don't like to go to bed early. Like I've a handful of friends who was like, oh yeah, I was in bed at 8:30. I was at bed at 9 o'clock. Dude, the way I see it is you only have so much time on earth.
Yeah.
And it's like, am I just going to, even if it's just watching TV or like doing something, I want like my time a little bit at night, and that's when I get it.
That's when you get it.
Yeah.
Do you still have to wake up early though? If you're up at 1, are you still waking up at like whatever time?
Yeah, usually. But
When
I'm okay on like 5 to 6 hours of
That's
sleep.
good.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's like my wheelhouse. My job is not like a set schedule. So I work from home a couple days a week. If I go into the office, it's usually anywhere between 9 and 10. I usually leave around 2:30 or 3. But if like I'm on show site or something, because for the people who don't know, I'm a producer, but I produce corporate meetings.
Events, yeah.
Yeah, corporate events. So I'll fly to Vegas. I'll fly to Miami. And it's like, okay, we get there the first day and it's just set up, but you're out there with your crew. So you go out and you drink and you have a bite to eat. And sometimes you stay up later than you should, but then you get up at 5:30 or 6 the next. It's just like, it's kind of like a peek into like what the rock star lifestyle would have been, but it's like
you're wearing
a pharma company.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
you're wearing a button-down shirt.
Exactly. Yeah.
And all your tattoos are hidden.
Exactly. It's like my pants are salmon. Right. Yeah. Like that's the.
Well, Ben, it's awesome to see you again. I do miss the fact that we can never fucking have the old music days again.
That's true.
But this is what we've done. We've gone our separate ways. You've decided to become a family man, and I'm in denial about my age. Dressed like this, so
it's okay. I still dress. Like that too, man.
Where can people find out? Do you have a website where people can find the shit that you do, like the painting? You should have like a one-stop shop of all the art stuff you do.
Yeah, that's not a bad idea. I really don't. I'm not on Facebook anymore.
I know. I noticed that today.
Yeah, that's just that was a political choice.
You've gone far left, dude. You lost your mind. I'm still MAGA.
Yeah. Are you MAGA or dark MAGA?
Where can people find you then? You're on Instagram?
Yeah, I'm on Instagram.
Doing Lord's work.
My personal one is just Benny the Mook, so all one word. And then I have, my project is called Pigeon Riot, and I believe it's just Pigeon_Riot.
We'll put it up here.
Yeah, I'll figure it out.
And what's on there?
That's like the music. Those are like the pre-production recordings of the music I've been doing.
Ben, good to see you. Thanks for doing the podcast.
Yeah, of course.
Thank you all for listening and watching another episode of Why Are You Awake? Go to sleep.